everyone, welcome in to Vols Society Live on this Wednesday night. So glad that you are spending your Wednesday evening with us. My name is David Morrison, the Vols Society lead analyst right here on the Vols Society Network. We're glad you joined us across our social media platforms, watching us live tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. And if you're new to the show tonight, first of all, we say welcome. And don't forget to follow along on Facebook.com/UT Society, YouTube.com/Vol Society, and on Twitter at Vol Society. Of course, the chat room is open. Go ahead, leave your comments, your questions. Our founder, Brad, is in the chat room right now, and he says a big 4-0. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We will dive deep into that Tennessee-Florida game. We'll talk about our trip up to Knoxville. Of course, we really broke it down on the podcast yesterday. Good old Rocky Talk. All three of us gave our perspective, but we'll kind of go into some more news and notes. Like I said, we're going to dive into Florida. This is the bye week. Obviously, no game this week. But, we're still going to break down this game. This is a historic win for this Tennessee football team. Tyler checking in says we need a concessions update. Go Vols. We'll dive into that tonight. Just a lot going on. I do want to start on a bit of a serious note. We're about to talk about Tennessee and Florida. But we want to give our thoughts and prayers out to the everyone down in South Florida, everyone on the Atlantic side that is dealing with Hurricane Ian right now. The hurricane has made landfall like 18 hours ago, I believe, is when it hit around Tampa, Fort Myers area. So definitely keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. Going through a lot right now. It's affected the college football world to a degree. But everybody stay safe down there. And like I said, we're thinking of you on Vol Society. Uh, you know, we know that Tennessee and Florida is a rival, but at the same time, we do want to send our thoughts to y'all. Like I said, a scary situation going on, but we're thinking of you. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into our road trip. So all three of us went to Knoxville on Saturday. Brad and Dees met me here in my hometown, and we made the trek up to Knoxville. Hello, Michelle, checking in. Looking forward to the show tonight. Thank you. We made the trek up to Knoxville. Left around 9 o'clock in the morning. Got up there about an hour later, around 10 o'clock. Got parked. Uh, just took in the scenery, and it was already a buzz of just Tennessee and Florida going on. A lot of Vol fans. I mean, Vol fans galore. Just a unbelievable sight to behold around Cumberland Avenue, walking around the campus, and then we went down to College Game Day. We didn't stay for the whole show. We just walked right by it, saw where they were filming it over at Harris Hall. Masses of people down there just getting all excited about the game. Then we trekked on over to the Vol Walk right after game day was over. Well, actually, let me back up. Before we went down to game day, or before we went down to the Vol Walk, we went to the Smoky Mountain Club tailgate party. So we mentioned this on the podcast, but I'll kind of repeat somewhat. So Smoky Mountain Club is one of Tennessee's NIL partnerships, and they are associated with former VFL Josh Dobbs. So Josh Dobbs, current quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, they had a game Thursday night. So obviously he had the weekend off after playing in the Thursday night. Well, he's a backup anyways. But the point is, he's like, hey, Tennessee, Florida this weekend, big game. Let's have a tailgate party with Smoky Mountain Club. So they sold tickets for this Josh Dobbs tailgate. Tickets got sold out in minutes. So Saturday morning, Smoky Mountain Club reached out to Vol Society and invited all three of us to come hang out with Josh Dobbs. So that was a really very thoughtful of them. We thank Smoky Mountain Club for doing that. Josh Dobbs for just welcoming us with his hospitality. It was really cool. A very unreal experience for us here at Vol Society. Kind of rubbing shoulders with Dobbs a little bit, and just thankful for that experience. Um, we stayed about an hour at the tailgate party. Saw Jack Jones over there, another former VFL, and it was just a lot of fun overall. Then we finally made our way down to the Vol Walk. Uh, it was just an unreal experience. One of the biggest Vol Walks that I've ever remembered. I mean, they were 10, 12 deep with the Vol Walk. Great turnout. We were at it, gate 21. We were like one of the last people to see the team going into the stadium. Our founder, Brad, was rubbing shoulders with some recruits. Sammy Brown was one of them. Saw Elijah Herring's mother. Brad got to talk to him. We saw Andy Bowser, famous VF, or well, I guess he's a Vol fan for life to another extent. He was there, and yeah, it was just a great experience. Saw Josh Heupel up close and personal, just coming in. It was just great overall. The players, great response. Tyler saying we will give a tailgate experience like you were at away for I think Kentucky at Rusty Wallace Nissan as a giveaway. Feel free to share. I'll give you updates. Hey, that's awesome. That's pretty cool, Tyler. Thank you. Yeah, just that ball walk was really cool. And then going into Neyland Stadium, we went in. This was the first time our founder Brad been in to Neyland Stadium in 12 years. Totally different than the last time he was there. Great praises all the way around. Uh, right before the game, like over 90 minutes before kickoff. I mean, there was so many people on the field, a lot of recruits, a lot of parents. Just just it looked like the Super Bowl out there. It was just an unreal sight to see. Great, just a great atmosphere before the game, and then the fans started filing in fairly quickly. And about 20 minutes before kickoff, it was jam packed. Checker Neyland looked great. They were really excited for the game. A great atmosphere, and just even when the team ran out of the tee, it was just a massive pop from the crowd. It was just a great game day experience. One of the best game day experiences that I ever been a part of, and I know my friends Brad and David East echoes the same thing. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into the game overall. It was a great game, a classic Tennessee Florida game. It was a nail biter to be exact. Kind of go over uh, some of the score, just some stats here. Uh, yeah, so giving a shout out to Tyler Campbell at Rusty Wallace Nissan. Nice. Uh, so let's go ahead and look at these. We'll start with the player stats here. So Hendon Hooker on the day went 22 for 28, 349 yards, two touchdowns, and then he ran for 13 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. One SEC Offensive Player of the Week, no doubt about it. A great performance for Hendon Hooker. Just unbelievable what he did throughout that entire game. Just made some uh, fantastic plays with both his arm and leg, and like I said, and he hasn't thrown an interception. I can't remember what the number was now, but it's been a while. And like I said, here we are, 4 games, and he still hasn't thrown a pick this year. So I'll just say that. Just a great effort for Hendon Hooker. The running backs did decent. Jabari Small had the best day, 19 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown. He also had a receiving touchdown. I'm about to mention here in a minute. So a pretty solid day. Jalen Wright, they shut him down. Unfortunately, he only went 10 carries for 25 yards. Did get a touchdown though, so that does add a little positivity to kind of a sluggish day. A little bit running the ball. Well, I guess for him. I mean, It's just he just had a kind of an off day running the ball, but did get a touchdown. The wide receivers to me really step up, except especially Brew McCoy. 5 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Had a 70-yard touchdown, or excuse me, a 70-yard reception in the game. Great play. And we got to talk about Ramel Keaton. 3 catches for 69 yards. And that diving catch, probably one of the greatest catches that I've seen live at Neyland Stadium. Just an unbelievable catch when that 43-yard pass down the right sideline. Just a great effort. I just laid it out there for his team, and that crowd responded big time when he made it. Oh my goodness, that was, and yeah, and Brad on the Vol Society Facebook page says Ramel had one of the best catches of the year, no doubt about it. Jalen Hyde had another great game, 5 catches for 58 yards. Great, great game for him. Jacob Warren started out a little slow, had a couple big time drops that could have really added on to the scoreboard. Looks like my impact player of the year is not looking good, but he did broke open for a 45-yard catch. He was just wide open. Hello to my grandparents watching along. He was wide open. Great catch from Jacob Warren for 45 yards. It was his only catch of the day. Like I said, those 2 drop passes. Man, we gotta get better on that. Princeton Fant had a good game for him. 5 catches for 43 yards in that one. And then Jabari Small, 3 catches, 32 yards and a touchdown, which to me was one of the my favorite play of the whole game. And you'll, if you listen to the podcast, you know what I'm about to say. If not, definitely check it out. My play of the game is when Jabari Small lined up with Hendon Hooker in the backfield. Tennessee was running some sort of a slant or a curl pattern, and Jabari Small rolled out from the backfield, and he was just wide open, and Hendon Hooker found him, didn't force a play over the middle that could have been a turnover. Just a great smart play by Hendon Hooker, and then Jabari Small was ready for that touchdown play. That was a great catch. That's when Tennessee went up, I think, 20-10 in the third quarter. Defensively, yeah, it's pretty ugly. And I want to go, I'll go ahead and give a shout out to some of these Florida players. Anthony Richardson played a great game, 24 for 44. He lit up our secondary with 453 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did throw a pick at the end to Kamal Haddon, but as far as defense goes, Jeremy Bates and Kamal Haddon were the leading tacklers of the game, 7 for both of those players. Jeremy Banks also had a tackle for loss. Let's see here. Also, Kamal Haddon with the tackle for a loss. Not a lot of pressure on Anthony Richardson. I mean, he did a great job just escaping the pocket and making plays. And like I said, our third down conversions still struggling here. Like I said, Richardson scored a couple of rushing touchdowns himself. And then, like I said, the 2 touchdown passes he threw, one to Zipper and the other one to Pearshell for Florida. That secondary's got to really get going here. I mean, we sing the praises of Tennessee's offense, and number 1 in the nation, one of the fastest teams in college football. And it's certainly awesome to see. But that secondary's got to really get going because, Josh Heupel has escaped a couple of games that, easily could have been losses. And I'm not blaming all those to Josh Heupel and the coaching staff. I'm just worried about when we get to these shootout games again, is Tennessee going to pull that lucky rabbit's foot out and pull out with a win and, give it up major yardage through our secondary, through our defense? So that's something to keep in mind right there. But, overall Tennessee, defensively just not a great, well, it wasn't the best day overall. So got to get going. Like I said, hopefully clean that up in the off week and then get ready for LSU as we head down the road. I mentioned Florida a little bit. We already even talked about Anthony Richardson. Couple wide receivers for the Gators, Shortner and Pearshell, went over 100 yards receiving. Like I said, bad on our part, but I guess good for them. Vontrell Miller wasn't supposed to play in this game, but he ended up playing, ended up getting a fumble, forced a turnover on Tennessee, recovered a fumble on us, and just and then of course the who had the Princeton fan had the other fumble when Tennessee was about to score. But overall, as far as the win goes, I mean, this is historic. This is huge. Tennessee only picks up their second win since 2004 over the Gators. And if you go back to 1998, what's that? Probably one, two, so 5 wins since the national championship game. I mean, yeah, we didn't know we were going to win when we played them in '98. Hindsight 2020, but this is historic. I was happy to see the team celebrate with the fans. I was happy none of the fans left. They stayed for the whole time, and even the post game. It wasn't just oh well, we beat Florida, now we can go home. I mean, there was people just celebrating, taking pictures, recording videos, just enjoying the moment. And even the Florida fans that were there, they stuck around for the whole game too because they still believe they're going to win. But it was just a great day from the beginning, when when we got to Knoxville, uh, until the end of that game. Just a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment, and now we get ready to take on LSU. Brad mentioned a couple of comments here. He says Hendon is seriously one of the best quarterbacks to come through Knoxville. Absolutely. I really I'm very grateful that we have Hendon Hooker. In the days of the transfer portal and just how quickly this team has turned around, Hendon Hooker is a big part of it. He's going to definitely be a legendary quarterback at the University of Tennessee, and we're so grateful to have him on this team. Just a great, mature young man. Don't hear any negative news out of him. We hear more positive stuff, which you want to hear. He's a great leader. Uh, a veteran quarterback. Almost 25 years old. But it seems like he knows what he wants to do. And when he leaves next year, we're desperately going to miss him. I mean, we have faith in Joe Milton or Nico or Taven Jackson, whoever takes over. But uh, this is one of those I'm going to enjoy every Tennessee game to the end of the season with number 5 out there at quarterback. And then Brad mentioned how great is that the LSU game is at noon. I think it's fantastic. Mainly the reason that game is a noon game is because CBS has the doubleheader that Saturday, October the 8th. And they already announced that Alabama Texas A&M is going to be the primetime game. I think there's one other SEC primetime game that kind of goes head to head with Alabama and A&M, but most of the SEC games got moved to the daytime to try not to counter or I don't know, pull viewers away, I guess, for lack of a better term. So that LSU game is a noon game, 11 a.m. Central Time in Baton Rouge. I think that's a big advantage. I mean, it's still going to be tough to go down to Baton Rouge and to pull that game out, but still, you don't have the hostile night environment. I think you may have a sleepy fan base, and I know a lot of college football fans don't like noon games or 11 a.m. games because of tailgating and probably staying up early, later than normal. I'm kind of like Josh Pate. I don't mind them as I've gotten older. But I understand. As far as a great atmosphere, you want to have it at night. Uh, but it is what it is. But like I said, I think that's huge for Tennessee to get that noon uh, kickoff on our Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Uh, local time when they go down to Baton Rouge. Uh, yeah, very excited about that. See here. Let's going to look at some team stats here for y'all. Uh, Kind of going back to that Tennessee Florida game. Uh, Actually, Florida had more offensive yardage than we did. We ended up putting up 576 yards of total offense. Florida went for 594, so over 1,000 yards of total offense in that game. Um, Looking at some of these other stats here, both teams had 2 turnovers in that game. Uh, And then time of possession, obviously, our opponents are going to have a longer time of possession compared to us because of our offense we ran. Uh, Florida went 34 minutes, 54 seconds. Tennessee, 25 minutes, 3 seconds. First downs, Florida won that one 31-27. They were 7 for 15 on third downs, and this is the one I really do not like. 5 for 6 on fourth down conversions. Got to clean that up. And matter of fact, the first fourth down stop was the opening drive of Florida when they went for it on 4th and 2. Uh, and as far as like Brad's asking, is Tillman back for LSU? Well, I thought he's come back for Florida, so I have to do little more research on that before I give a definite answer. But I hadn't really heard. Hopefully he will be, having this bye week, and then he can be ready for LSU. But I want to talk about both these coaches. I'm going to start with Billy Napier first. As far as what Billy Napier, he had his little outburst on the sideline, and that was quite entertaining to see that. But I really truly believe you saw two of the top head coaches in the next 10 years that you saw on Saturday. I think Billy Napier is a good coach. I think he knows what he's doing. I think, at the beginning there was just kind of some rumblings of, oh, was he another Butch Jones or whoever? Uh, but I really don't see that. I think he's got a little bit of a different personality, but I mean his game management's really good. Um, hopefully Tennessee will still continue to get the wins every year, obviously, but I think this Florida team has a lot of potential down the road. And yeah, I think they found the right guy, Billy Napier. Like I said, just hopefully Tennessee continues to win over him every year. But I think Florida can be a threat if they get a couple of good recruiting classes underneath them. So as far as Josh Heupel goes, Josh Heupel, he's the man, obviously. Like I said, 4-0 on the year. And we talked about this on the podcast also. And please go back and check it out. But I want to read this stat here that I did a little research on. Go back and find it here. Here we go. So Josh Heupel just coached his 17th game at Tennessee. His record right now for the Vols is 11 wins and 6 losses. Last year he defeated number 18 number 18 Kentucky, and this year already got 2 top 20 wins over Pitt and Florida, which they were number 17 and number 20 respectively. And Josh Heupel already defeated one of the 3 big rivals in just his second year with Florida. If you look at some of the previous coaches, you look at our last coach, we'll call JP. He went 6-11 in his first 17 games on the year. In 2018, he did pick up a couple top 25 wins, and then he ended up picking up another one in 2019. I'm sorry, no, he didn't. I take that back. Coach JP didn't get his 11th win until November, and you're going to see a trend with these next 3 coaches I'm about to mention as far as picking up their 11th win. Now, they all picked up their 11th win in their second season, but it took up until the end of the year. Coach BJ went 7-10 his first 17 games, and he defeated South Carolina, which was number 11 in the country in his first year. He didn't get his 11th win until 2014 against Vanderbilt. And it took 4 years for him to defeat one of the 3 big ones, which he ended up defeating. Actually, I take it back. It took him 3 years because he beat Georgia in 2015, and then it took 4 years for him to beat Florida. And then he turned around and ended up winning on the Hail Mary against Georgia. And then you look at Coach Dede, went 9-8 his first 17 games at his Tennessee career. He had no top 25 wins, and he reached his 11th win in 2011 on November 19th against Vanderbilt. So, like I said, Josh Heupel in his first 17 games has already got double-digit career wins at Tennessee. He's the first coach to do that since Philip Fulmer, who went 14-3 in his first 17 games at Tennessee. Of course, if you remember, he filled in for Johnny Majors in 1992 when he had heart surgery, and he missed. Coach Majors missed the first 3 games, and then Phil took over at the bowl game and then went on till 2008. So Tennessee hit a home run as far as bringing in Josh Heupel. Now, like I said, we were at the bottom when Coach JP and Philip Fulmer were both ousted in their respective roles. And it's like, who's taking over this program? There's no leadership. There's nothing that this program can rely on. It's going to be another 10 years before we get going. Well, Tennessee clean house, and give a shout out to Donnie Plowman, the chancellor at the University of Tennessee, for Randy Boyd, the UT president. They brought in Danny White from UCF, and Danny White had the same vision as both Randy Boyd and Chancellor Plowman did. They wanted to get Tennessee back to respectability, get back to the top. They brought in Josh Heupel, and at first we were kind of puzzled. I was like, Josh Heupel, okay, yeah, he's at UCF, but is he really cut out for the SEC? The timing was perfect, like I said, because with NIL kind of got started, and the transfer portal, and I think the transfer portal more than NIL really got Tennessee going. Brought in, Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker, Velus Jones, many others, kind of rebuilt this team. And then also Josh Heupel knew what to do with this current players that he had. And here we are, 17 games later, we're the number 8 team in the nation, when just 17 games ago, before Josh Heupel coached his first game, we were at rock bottom. Just, we are so grateful to have Josh Heupel as our head coach. And once again, I mentioned this on the podcast too. A lot of people were kind of also puzzled, 2-3 weeks ago, when Danny White gave Josh Heupel a raise. And they're like, why give him a raise this early? What's the point of giving Josh Heupel a raise? What's happened in the last 3 weeks in college football? Schools firing their head coaches. Nebraska got rid of Scott Frost a couple of weeks ago. Last week, Herm Edwards let go at Arizona State. And then over the weekend, Jeff Collins was let go at Georgia Tech. And now there's rumors that Brian Harsin, if he doesn't beat LSU, may be ousted. These schools are looking at what Tennessee's doing in Josh Heupel. A younger coach, has a very exciting offense, and they'll be like, we would love to have Josh Heupel come to our school. Danny White kind of put all that to an end when he gave him that extension, because Danny White knew what was on the horizon. And I don't see Josh Heupel going anywhere. I can see him probably get added. I can see Danny White added some years to Josh Heupel's contract towards the end of the season. Maybe give him more money and give his assistants more money. And like I said, we're going to see more head coach openings towards the end of the season from across the nations. And Josh Heupel's name is going to be brought up. Matter of fact, last year when Oklahoma came open, when Lincoln Riley went to USC, Josh Heupel's name was brought up. Of course, obviously he played at OU. So you're going to hear Heupel's names mentioned a lot, but don't sweat it out. He's not going to go anywhere. I think he's here for the long haul. He's got a great relationship with Danny White, who had a great relationship. They had a great relationship down at Central Florida. Everything's looking great. And like I said, Tennessee athletics is on fire. This football team's on fire. The fan base is hyped up. And it's so good just to see where this program is in less than 20 games under the Heupel era. Hello to Vol Steak. He's watching us on YouTube. He says, so nice riding high on a bye week. Go Vols. Yes, absolutely. And, I've mentioned this before. I really don't like having a bye week early in October, but this year the timing was perfect. You got the win over Florida, which we speculated we were going to. Enjoy this week, this weekend. Celebrate that Florida game. And then come Monday, we're focused on LSU going down there for an early morning kickoff. I mean, can you imagine us going 5-0, and then the next week, 5-0 Alabama will be rolling into Neyland Stadium? If you thought that Florida game was crazy, You ain't seen nothing yet when the third Saturday in October rolls around. Uh, it's it's just so exciting, and please continue to comment, ask questions along the way. This is part of your show too. I'm not here to ramble on and on. Michelle says that would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Brad said game day back in Knoxville. Well, you never know. I thought if I thought if game day was ever going to come to Knoxville, I thought it was going to be this game instead of the Florida game. But hey, we'll take them both times. Stake says Hendon Hooker is amazing, and so is Josh Heupel. Yes, both have just elevated this program uh, in the last couple of years, and especially this year. Just the momentum looking really good so far. Continue to comment along. Uh, it's like I said, it was just a great weekend. I'm still kind of recovering from Saturday. My voice is kind of came in and came out throughout the most part, but we're hanging on. What was your all thoughts of the game? We gave ours here on Ball Society. What do y'all thought? We'll have a good discussion here. See here, that Bama game. Brad says the Bama game is going to be something to see. Absolutely. Uh, Man, both teams undefeated. I'm sure CBS will come back to that game. I mean, this could be one of the biggest Tennessee Alabama games that I've remembered in a very, very long time. I mean, we'll see how Alabama does against Arkansas. I think they'll beat Arkansas uh, down in Fayetteville. But like I said, Alabama's got some tough road games throughout this season. They went through the first hurdle in Austin and barely escaped that. They got to go to Fayetteville on Saturday, and then they got to turn around the next week and go to Knoxville. Could be 80-80. Could be. That'd be a wild shootout there. I mean, especially if Alabama still had uh, Tua and all those wide receivers, it could definitely be 80-80. Thankfully not. Uh, any others? Like I said, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up on Vols Society. Make sure you're still following along. Uh, Very cool stuff. Ken checking in. Hello to you. Very concerned about the defense. Not much pass rush. Secondary not good enough to cover with subpar pass rush. Yeah, we noticed that too, Ken. I'm reading the stats. Didn't really pressure Anthony Richardson much, which I understand he's a running quarterback, but overall, uh, yeah, I really wish we got to him a little bit more. There were several times we got to him. It's just poor angling on our part. Didn't line up for the tackle great. Some fundamental issues there, and then the secondary. Just still, I don't know. It's just very frustrating to see. I think this is a talented team. We brought in everybody uh, that we can. It's just still not getting off on third down and fourth downs. I mean, Florida went 5 for 6 on fourth down conversions. The first one that we stopped was on their opening drive, and then they went 5 for 5 the rest of the game. I mean, at this point, I don't know if we can stop third and 99. That's the scary part. I'm just so glad that we got an offense that could back it up because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, those games would have not been wins. They would have been blowout losses. Uh, Thankfully, we have a coach that knows how to run an offense along the way. And Brad said, talked about it on the podcast. So true. Yeah. And we even talked about it on the ride home uh, from Knoxville. Just kind of got some questions about the defense. So, but we'll see what happens. And fingers crossed, toes crossed that we can get going. Ken says, agree. Third down defense is horrendous. Yes. I mean, very bad. Just can't get off on the field. I mean, it don't matter who it is. It's just hanging on for dear life. You just hope for a turnover or a miscue from the other team. Like I said, we about can't stop third and 99 at this point. but we'll see. Any others? Talked to we answered. Oh yeah, we answered Tyler's question about the concessions. Brad says we just don't have the guys yet on defense that we need. That's an interesting point. Yeah, we'll see what this future recruiting class is coming in. Some of the new guys coming in. I know you got Trevor Daniels, safety. You got Rodney Harrison's son, Christian Harrison, coming in. Is Christian? I can't remember if Christian Connor's on this team or not. Now or not, I can't remember. Um, one from no, I think he's not because he's from Kentucky. So yeah, so there's some players coming aboard, but like I said, just you know, is it going to be a quick turnaround? Is this going to still kind of be a problem? So something to keep our eyes out on, um, and we'll see. Especially later in the year when we go take on Georgia. I mean, Georgia's offense is clicking right now. I mean, it's not the prettiest offense, but they get the job done, and they torched us last year. Jared Wright, hello, Jared. Know Jared pretty well. Jared says not to get ahead of LSU, but October 15th, SEC games include Vandy, Georgia, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, Arkansas, BYU, LSU, Florida. Looks like CBS game is very likely, even if UT isn't undefeated. I think so too. I think with that atmosphere we had with Florida, I'm sure CBS would love to have that again for Alabama. Of course, CBS loves broadcasting Alabama games, and kind of looking at the rest of that schedule, I don't really see. I don't really see a game that would really knock off that CBS pedal. Most of those look like, an ESPN game or a SEC network to be exact. Um, yeah, I don't see LSU, Florida being that. That would probably be the closest. Maybe Auburn, Ole Miss, but still, I don't really see that much either. Any others? My Wi-Fi just went to not looking good so far here. Hope y'all can still hear me. There we go. Now it's kicking back up there. Get that Wi-Fi up. Yeah, I'm excited about, like I said, for LSU coming up in Alabama. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully that we can escape Baton Rouge and then have a huge showdown with Alabama. Uh, and then the rest of the SEC schedule looks really, really, really promising outside of Georgia and Alabama. The road trip to Columbia, South Carolina looks very easy. Missouri's looks very easy. Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt. Brad's wondering who else was at the game. Was it fun? Yeah, if you were there, please comment. Uh, we had a great time. It was a game we won't forget. Definitely so. Johnny checking in says Florida game was incredible. Absolutely. Let's see here. There we go. Wi-Fi's being a little fuzzy here. There we go. I think we're good now. Maybe not. Anyways, uh, yeah, it was unreal, Johnny. We like I said, just talking about it. It was just a lot of fun to be at. About had a few heart attacks along the way, but overall it was a great experience for all of us, for Vol Society, and best is still yet to come, as they say. Um, any others? Like I said, like I said, our viewership still looking good. By the way, I want to give a shout out to the Vol Society and Vol fans everywhere. So we had a Facebook post recently. Uh, okay, thank you, Brian. I'll mention that here in a second. So we had a Facebook post. When we talk about Tennessee being 4-0, that post got over 10,000 likes on Facebook. I mean, just an unbelievable uh, just a turnout for our website. Our podcast is looking good. Had our best numbers for the podcast. Also, shout out to Josh Dobbs. commenting on us showing up to the Smoky Mountain Club, retweeting, and also mentioning Brad. That was really cool too. And speaking of the podcast, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this over here. Uh, so for the podcast for the Alabama game, we have a guest coming on. We're not going to reveal it just yet who the guest is, but he is a former VFL. And if you follow on Vol Society, we've mentioned his name once or twice before. So stay tuned. Please subscribe to the podcast. Please make sure you're following along on or across our social media platforms, and we will reveal who our guest is for the Alabama Good Old Rocky Talk podcast will be. Johnny saying that's how Tennessee games should be. Last time I can remember being like that was 2004 Florida. Yeah, absolutely. Brad was at that game. It's unreal. Jared saying for those that went, was it louder than the 2015 Oklahoma game? Have heard it was continuous like Oklahoma, but that it was still great. Uh, Johnny dropping a prediction who it might be. I don't know. We'll see. I've just been told it's a VFL. Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't at that Oklahoma game in 2015, Jared. I, it was definitely the loudest I've been to. Yeah, especially that Ole Miss game. I have to wait and see. I guess so. uh, anyway, so any others? I wish my Wi-Fi would not goof around here. Like I said, we got a big month of October coming up. Like I said, it starts. Johnny says, I was not at the Oklahoma game, but I heard it wasn't as loud as Oklahoma or Ole Miss last year. Yeah, I was at that Ole Miss game last year. I think the Ole Miss crowd was just more of a vicious, rowdy crowd than this Florida game was. I'll say that just because of Blaine Kiffin. It felt more like a wrestling event or something than more of I guess, a typical football crowd. But they were still pretty. It's pretty loud either way. Um, yeah, like I said, I remember the Oklahoma game being very loud, but like I said, I wasn't there in person. I just saw that one on TV. Yeah, the Kiffin effect, definitely so. For that one. Uh, yeah, Brad says you guys liking the podcast. Love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, we have a lot of fun on the podcast too. Like I said, make sure follow along on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. Um, definitely so. Uh, any others? Oh yeah, I meant to. Yeah, we answered the question about the concessions from Tyler. You know, Brad and D's had, and we all had Petros in the concession stands. Forgot about that. Jared says yes. Have told several friends about that, and that weren't aware. Keep it up. Yeah, please continue to uh, share it out there about the podcast. Like I said, we have been a lot of fun. Johnny says podcast has been great. It was immediately added to my Tennessee rotation. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that. Miss K says doing a great job, David. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Miss K. Um, yeah, we're having a lot of fun on the podcast. Of course, I have fun doing Vol Society Live. Uh, just a lot of cool stuff coming along in October. Uh, busy month. LSU coming up, Alabama coming up, Kentucky's coming up. I still got to throw a college basketball preview in for Tennessee sometime in the month of October. We got a special guest coming on the podcast fairly soon, a VFL. We're excited about to drop that whenever everything is good to go to drop it. Um, should be a ton of fun. in October. September is definitely our best month of Vol Society as far as traffic, the podcast, everything. We're looking to make October even better along the way. Still got tailgate Thursday. I do that every week. I'll drop one for y'all tomorrow. Brad says the last episode has been downloaded more than any other episode, and again, we have a VFL joining us for Bama Week. Yeah, I can't wait to find out who that is when we start recording. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of fun. I'll give you a hint. It's not Jared Garantano. It's not him. So if you thought it was, I'm sorry. All right, yeah. Brad says he will reveal next week sometime who our guest will be. Stay tuned. Make sure you're following along. This is going to be big. This is going to be a big announcement. Miss K says, "Is it Chip?" I don't know. I would love to have Chip Ellison on as our guest. Talk about why did he blow a gasket on the sideline of that Florida game. I think I was the only one in Neyland Stadium who said, "Get off the field, Chip." Quite hilarious. Great. That was a fun day overall. Any others? What are y'all going to be doing for the bye week? I mean, like, so Tennessee's not playing. What do y'all do? Would y'all just, I mean, do y'all still watch football, just continue like normal, or do y'all go out and do stuff? So, what's y'all's weekend's plans? Um, bless his heart, Miss K. I know, like I said, it's supposed to be kind of nasty weather this week. Like I said, we mentioned at the top of the show. Thoughts and prayers to everyone affected with Hurricane Ian. Uh, like I said, hopefully everybody stays safe. If you're still down there, if you've evacuated, you done a smart thing. Hopefully you're safe wherever you're at. Brad says watching football. That's probably what I'm gonna be doing if it's because it's supposed to get some rain this weekend here in East Tennessee, and definitely where Brad's at, kind of uh, not really in the heart of it, but we'll get more rain where he's at than where I'm at. Um, but yeah, it's probably gonna be a pretty wet weekend overall. I know that, like I said, there's been some college football games been moved because of Hurricane Ian. I know South Carolina is playing their game tomorrow night against South Carolina State. That's on the SEC Network. I think SMU and UCF moved their game to Sunday. Florida actually moved their game to Sunday with Eastern Washington. Big games on Saturday, bro. I was wondering. Well, the big one is supposed to be NC State and Clemson, and right now they're still scheduled to still play Saturday night. So hopefully they can get that game in. Johnny's still watching our future opponents. Kentucky and Ole Miss down in Oxford. That's an early kickoff for them. Both undefeated teams. Definitely be something to watch out for. You also got Alabama going to Arkansas, second road game for Alabama. Miss K says watching football and hope that Alabama will lose. Yep, Bama and Arkansas. What Jared saying? Uh, yeah, like I said, that's probably trying to think of some others. And y'all can help me along if I forget any. That's mainly like from the SEC. You got a couple of big SEC games. See, is Georgia? I'm trying to remember who Georgia's playing. Oh, LSU Auburn's Saturday night game on ESPN. Um, yeah, so Kevin's saying our coach had a bad cough. Just watched him at the press conference. Hope he gets better. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, thank you, Johnny. Georgia's playing Missouri. Yeah, I didn't know Josh was Coach Heupel was doing a press conference today until I saw it. I can't remember where I saw it at. I guess somewhere on social media. So I meant to. If I knew that, I would have probably posted. But oh well. Hopefully he is okay. And then Yeah, Jared saying Georgia, Missouri. Okay, so thank y'all guys. I drew a blank of Georgia was playing, so they're playing Missouri. So expect Georgia to go down there and take care of business. Brad says he saw that. It's where I think he's always had that cough. He may have. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully it's okay. Couldn't imagine what he's going through after that big game, and now he's now he's turn around and play LSU. I know he's got the bye week, but should be. Let's see here. Uh, well, like I said, I'll drop a tailgate Thursday tomorrow. A little 5-minute video. I'll also drop what the high school game of the week will be for us. That will be kind of following along. Um, yeah, like I said, just overall thoughts tonight as we kind of wind it down. Historic win for Tennessee, a memorable win. Uh, finally defeated Florida for the first time since 2016. We got a great head coach, got a great quarterback who could be a Heisman contender, and we'll talk about we talked about it on the podcast. Definitely check that out. Um, so much riding on this season. There are question marks. Uh, just so much going on for this team coming up, and excited about what the future holds for the University of Tennessee Volunteers throughout the rest of this 2022 season. Already seeing some bold projections, and it's way too early to look at that, but it seems like everybody's kind of penciling us for the Sugar Bowl. So a New Year's Six bowl game, I'll take it. But like I said, still got a long way to go. I mean, we're still in September. We'll be in October this Saturday. And just a lot riding on this season. Any others? Don't forget, uh, tailgate Thursday, and then we'll start LSU week. Uh, reading Jared's comment. Kevin's saying everyone's talking about us, so that's a good thing. Go Vols! Yeah, seeing more national media kind of talking about us. You know, whether it's a good or bad thing. I think it's somewhat of a good thing. Johnny's asking David, how confident are you will be in a New Year's Six bowl game? Fairly confident. I think if we defeat LSU, I feel very confident as far as the rest of the season go. Just scrap Georgia and Alabama. That's kind of still too tall of an order for us. But I can see it's a similar situation where Ole Miss was last year, where yeah, you didn't defeat the top teams in the SEC, but you still were rewarded handsomely going to the Sugar Bowl, which Ole Miss played Baylor, I believe, last year. Ended up losing that one, but this team kind of reminds me of kind of where Ole Miss was last year, which I believe that was Kiffin's second year. Also, just a great quarterback, high tempo offense, and just uh, hopefully can blow some teams out along the way. Uh, and Brad, he said it since day one. We only lose two this year. Uh, I think we'll probably only lose two this year too. I feel like I said very confident as far as the rest of the schedule goes. The SEC East, Kentucky's still going to be. We think Kentucky's pretty overrated. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. Johnny's saying we are beating Alabama. That's gonna be unreal. Like I said, I'm not ready to say that just yet, but you know, I definitely see Alabama losing a road game somewhere along the season because they already went through Austin, going to Arkansas, got to go to Knoxville, got to go to Oxford, got to go to Baton Rouge. I think they're gonna lose somewhere on the road. Hopefully, it's in Knoxville in a couple of weeks. I do agree with it on that, Billy or Johnny, but we'll see. Brad says we are beating Bama or Georgia. Is happening one of those. It's gonna be huge, huge either way. I mean, just what a season that will be. Especially beating Josh Heupel beating two big rivals, uh, in his second year. We already got Florida out of the way. So we'll see what happens. This case says, I hope Johnny's saying you have credibility at stake. I'm just a guy on Facebook. It's happening, Brad. It may happen. Hopefully so. All right. Any others? We kind of wind it down. Next Monday, we'll have Josh Heupel's press conference, previewing LSU. Good old Rocky Talk podcast. We'll preview that LSU game. And then that Bama week, we have a special guest coming aboard. Cannot wait to reveal that to y'all. You're gonna be excited to see who we got. It's a former VFL. Very excited about it. That's all I've really got. Like I said, we had a fun trip up there. We're still kind of tired. I couldn't imagine doing those games every week, like going to a different college football game. It'd be a lot of fun, but should be a lot of fun. What position did your special guest play? Oh, well, he touched the ball a lot, and he had a lot of numbers. Johnny says I'm fishing. I understand what you're doing. So we'll see who it is. I just been told it's a VFL that we've talked about before. We've talked about a bunch of VFLs on here. We did a whole countdown for 100 days. Is it Peyton? Well, I've lost $10 million if it was Peyton. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Johnny. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wind it down. Thank you for everybody tuning in on Vols Society Live. Congratulations to Tennessee. We finally beat Florida. Now we go enjoy this bye week and then get ready for LSU. Continue to follow along across the social media platforms. Pull up the thing again. Facebook.com/UT Society, YouTube.com/Vol Society, and on Twitter at Society Vol. Also, the podcast, Good Old Rocky Talk. Go Vols YouTube, Jared. And also, if you want to be a part of the podcast, want to ask a question for the podcast, comment your question using the hashtag GORT Podcast. That's GORT Podcast for Good Old Rocky Talk. Along with your question, where you're from, and maybe include it in the next show. Maybe our guest will answer your question. I don't know what's going on. Which way did he go? Which way did he go? All right, that's enough. I'm going to quit being silly. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We'll talk to y'all next Wednesday night. For Vols Society Live, this is David Morrison saying, Go Vols. And good night.